So today we're going to talk about how to repair a stress crack in a wall. It's a common problem here in the Northeast. Two major reasons that or causes of stress cracks are seasonal movement and settling. And the settling is primarily an issue with new construction. Within the first few years after construction, everything, all the disturbed soil at the job site settles down, things kind of settle into place, and then they'll tend to stop. If it's seasonal movement that causes a stress crack, then sometimes they just keep coming back, and there's really little you can do without excavating and shoring up the structure. So this structure is 3 years old. It cracked after a year or so. It was repaired. It re-cracked. Gave it some time. We're hoping that enough time has gone by, the settling is complete, we can fix it, and we'll be done with it. So we're going to use a product by Hyde today called Wet and Set. It's a mesh tape. It's about 5 inches wide, and it has a joint compound, adhesive quality joint compound on it. So it's simple to use. Just cut it to the length you need, you wet it, and apply it over the cracked area. But first we'll need to prep the crack for the wet and set. Okay, so we're going to prepare this crack for the wet and set. And as always, preparation is the key to the success of any job. So we need to clean out all this loose material, get rid of the failed tape that was put in here before when they attempted to repair this crack. So I'm just going to kind of open it up a little bit and get in there and try and peel out this layer of mesh. In the previous attempt to fix this, they used a metal patch behind mesh tape, which failed, not necessarily because of the material that they used, possibly, but just because there was additional movement and it re-cracked. I don't like this system here because this metal has no adhesive really other than the mud that you put on there, and it absorbs nothing. It's metal, so there's no absorption. The bond is weak. Only the mud going through these little holes is the only thing that connects it. And it wouldn't take much movement to release that bond, obviously. So we're going to use a different technique with the wet and set, and hopefully that will cure our problem here. Like I said, if it's seasonal movement, usually when the ground freezes, it heaves up and it thaws, it goes back down, and that movement, if it can move the structure, will cause these cracks. You see them oftentimes over doors and windows, where the headers are taking all the weight, and it's a weak, kind of a weak point in the whole system. So you'll see cracks there more often than not. So this is pretty well prepped up, loose stuff out of here, and we're going to patch it up. Okay, so this is the Wet and Set product. It comes in a 9-foot roll, 5 inches wide. And as you can see, it has a coating of basically joint compound and adhesive on both sides of it, all the way around. So you're eliminating one step, creating a bond with the wall, with not just plain mesh tape, but mesh tape that already has an adhesive joint compound applied to it. So what you need to do is just hold it up to the affected area on the wall and get a measurement of the size of the piece you need right there. And this is easily cut with scissors. So that's what we'll do. Just cut off the piece you need. I have an angle involved here, so I'm going to also cut it to that angle as well. Yeah, there. That'll do it. And then you simply need to wet it in warm water, wet it down, and apply it to the wall. Okay, so now we're ready to start the application process of the wet and set. And the first step is wetting it with warm water. So just have a bucket of warm water and just immerse it. So after you wet it, just use a little extra care to keep it straight and keep it from folding over on itself so it won't stick to itself. And bring it right to the wall and press it on. You can just use your hands for this, and it moves around and adjusts easily, so no big panic or rush. Just take your time and get it on there right where you want it. And you see I left it a little bit short on the bottom so I can feather the joint compound to the trim, and there's not going to be a big buildup there, hatch. So that just needs to sit there for 15 minutes. It'll dry quickly, and then after that you can apply your joint compound over the top. This product has a quick dry compound on it, so it takes about 15 minutes, at which point we can just come back and finish the project. Okay, now that the wet and set mesh material has dried, we're ready to continue with the next step, which would be top coating with joint compound. I prefer to use a quick set joint compound product that allows me to do multiple coats in a day, because we'll probably have to do a second coat over this at least before it will be ready to sand and paint. So I'll go ahead and apply that. So right now I'm just basically crudely applying the joint compound, and then I'll go back and remove excess material by feathering the product from the middle out to the sides. I'm using more pressure in this right here. I'm using more pressure on the left side than the right to create a gradual ramp, I guess, up to the middle of the joint of the repair area. And you don't want to try and do it all in one step. Best just to, less is more here. Just apply a nice smooth even coat, and then you can go back and touch it up afterwards with a second coat. That should be able to create a surface that's nice and smooth, ready to sand and paint. So using the quick set joint compound products, you can do multiple coats in a day. You can use all-purpose joint compound. You'll just have to let it dry overnight. But we like to try and get as many coats on in a day so we can start painting as soon as possible.